What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a 3,000 mile review on the brand new when I got them, but the brand new Toyo Tires, the Open Country Trail RTs. The new tire that they released at SEMA back in November. I got them put on my truck at the beginning of December, and I wanted to put some miles on them before I gave you guys another update on them. Now, before we get into this, if you guys do want to see the video of when I originally got them put on in the first trip I took them out to the desert, I'll throw that up in the card somewhere at the top, and I'll put it at the end of the video for you guys to check out. But like I said, since we have now hit 3,000 miles, I want to give you guys an update, give you a review now that I have more time with them, more experience with them, and more off-roading trips done with them. And if you guys want to be as kind as to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, I would not be mad about that at all. Thank you very much. So first and foremost, let's get the boring everyday stuff out of the way, the on-road condition. So I surprisingly had a lot more people asking me about on-road condition than I thought they were going to. I thought it was just going to be questions about off-road performance. But there were a lot of people asking, well, how do they perform on road? How do they grip? How's the ride quality, et cetera, et cetera. So let's cover that right now. So first and foremost, the biggest thing that I noticed between these and my old set of tires, which were KO2s, is the fact that they are just a little bit more loud. And that's to be expected because these are an RT compared to an AT, and there's a little more spacing. The blocks are a little knobbier, not as bad as mud terrain, but more aggressive than all terrain. So it's to be expected that there's going to be a little more noise, and you would expect it to be a little more rough driving-wise, like on the road, like you feel the knobs and everything, but that's not the case. That is not the case in my experience. In my experience, the conditions on road are almost exactly the same as the all-terrain KO2s, with the exception of the slight increase in noise. That's truly it. The on-road traction is perfectly fine. It feels amazing. It feels great. It's normal. Steering doesn't feel any different. Nothing really feels different on dry, normal, everyday road conditions except the noise. Now, I said dry conditions because if we switch over to rain conditions, which it has been raining a shit ton here in California the past few months, that's where I see a little bit of a difference compared to the all-terrain KO2s. These tires grip a lot more in the rain than my KO2s used to, and the reason I know this is not because I was purposefully trying to do fun activities while the roads are wet. Is that the best way to put this without getting in trouble? But yes, there are certain conditions and certain throttle pressures I would be able to push with my KO2s, and I would know exactly how much throttle to give from a dead stop to maybe break the rear tires loose. It's hypothetical, of course. And when I got these tires and it started raining and I wanted to testing for you guys, we're researching. When I wanted to research and see if that same exact throttle pressure that I had memorized, muscle memory and everything to break the rear tires loose, this will not. It just grips and rolls like the road's perfectly dry. So then maybe a few more storms later, I thought to myself, well, maybe if I apply a little more throttle, then they will break loose. A little more throttle didn't do it. So I had to give it quite a bit more throttle to actually break them loose. But even with that, when I broke them loose, it would give maybe a second, 2 seconds at most. Maybe not even that. Probably about a second before it just locked back up and gripped and traction like normal. And I don't need you guys in the comments saying, "Oh, are you sure the traction control wasn't kicking?" I'm not that stupid, guys. Come on. I mean, I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. So yeah, they do really great with wet road conditions, surprisingly, and especially with how much it's been raining in California and all the oils getting pulled out of the asphalt and all that stuff. So very surprised with that. Now, as far as wear and everything like that, like I said, we're only at 3,000 miles, so I'm not going to have that much of a tell on that. I'm just kind of checking them out right now, but my front end alignment has probably been jacked up since the first off-road trip I took these on. I totally knocked my alignment out, so that's also something I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Is it going to wear unevenly? Because that happened on an original pair of KOs that I had way back in the day. Those wore drastically unevenly in a very short amount of time. So I'm sort of keeping an eye on that right now. And everything seems fine. So the wear's not much we could talk about right now. Maybe in another update video at 10,000, 20,000 miles, I'll fill you guys in on how they're wearing. But yeah, right now there's not really much to report on. Now let's talk about durability as far as off-roading goes, because with the KO2s, one of the big reasons I switched from those not switched to a new tire brand, but like it was time to get new tires off of those ones, is because I had gone on a trail that was really rocky and the knobs were just chunked. They were chewed to shit. And not saying I've gone on a lot of rocky trails lately, but I have hit some rock sections, especially being out at King of Hammers and off-roading out there. And there's no chunking, really. There's no chunking. The only spot I do notice some sort of like little ripping and some roughness is right at like the front corners of each knob and the outer side walls of that. So that probably took some rock. Overall, not a lot of chunking. I mean, I see maybe like a spot or two, but again, these probably aren't built the best for taking like a lot of rock aggression, and withstanding that. So overall, they're doing pretty good. I probably should throw in there at some point, especially now that we're going to dive into the off-road section, that my experience as far as like off-roading with these tires has been a Barstow trip or two weekends of King of Hammers, and just a lot of local trails, I'd say. Oh, and Ocotillo. So I have in the 3,000 miles I've put on these, I've hit the desert up a good amount of times, I'd say, for 3,000. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the off-road performance of these tires, which is mainly what I'm here to check out, mainly what I'm here to express to you guys. So first and foremost, normal everyday dirt. More so like the hard pack normal desert dirt, not like super soft sand or silt. We'll get into that. But the normal dirt, phenomenal. I mean, they're an RT. I don't know what you expect. It's an off-road tire. It's an RT. Of course, it's going to grip in the dirt. If it doesn't, then we got big problems. But these obviously are going to handle that because it's just normal everyday dirt. I would say when I had the all-terrains, especially toward the end of their life, if I was hitting some higher speeds through that kind of just like hard-packed, loose dirt on top of hard-packed kind of stuff, I'd feel the back end sort of walk a little bit. With these, I don't think I'm experiencing it that much. I'll hit high speeds and I'll feel decently planted. It's not walking too much. So I think they're gripping a little bit better. But then again, like I said, that was at the end of their life and these are at the beginning of their life. So it could have just been that. But no, I've never lost traction. I've never really spun out or anything, giving it acceleration. They've gripped perfectly fine on normal dirt. Now, where I've really noticed a very big difference is when you start to get into the more challenging stuff, such as silt, sand, and mud. So let's start with sand. My biggest fear, especially because it's a two-wheel drive truck on those all-terrains, every time I would go into sand, I would get stuck. There was no exception. I'm getting stuck if I go into sand. If I slow down, if I stop, I'm stuck. I'm done. I need to get towed out. If I stop in something, maybe somewhere between the hard-packed and between the sand, just like, I don't know, I guess a sandy silt, light sand kind of thing, when I'd hit the gas, I'd feel the back end probably spin a hole one time. I'd feel my back end sink in a little before it hooked up and slowly started to force its way through the sand and out. But with these, I've noticed sand was not a problem at all. When I was out at King of Hammers, near Hammertown, they have a few different like small little mini dunes just in the middle of nowhere. Like I wouldn't call them like dunes, but it's just like a random sand bowl just in the middle of the desert. And I would come over a hill not knowing that was there, go into this big sand bowl and think to myself like, oh my God, I'm stuck now. And these tires stayed on top of it. I didn't sink at any point. I wasn't forcing through it. I was staying on top, just coasting through. And never once did I ever fear that I was going to get stuck with them, which was, it's a great feeling to have, to go in thinking like, oh my God, I'm done. I'm stuck. And I don't have anybody to pull me out, to, oh my God, dude, this is taking it. So I decided to get a little more risky once I hit those sections. I would slow myself down to, 5 miles an hour and then hit the gas again to see if I would spin myself and start to dig a little. It wouldn't. It would just, it would act like I'm not even in the sand. It was totally fine. Like these, I was blown away. We'll just put it at that. I'm blown away. So then I decided to get a little more risky. Maybe not in those sand bowl sections, but if I found sand like on the side of trails and stuff, I'd pull off onto the side onto those, come to a dead stop, and then just hit the gas to go out in different with different kinds of acceleration, like slow, kind of creeping out, a little faster. And never once did I feel that thing that I would feel with the all-terrains where it would spin and dig a little before it hooked up and tried to pull me out. It just instantly went as if the sand wasn't even there. Now, I'm not saying that these are going to be perfect tires to take out into the dunes or something, like go out to Glamis or anything like that, because Again, it's just not something I do with my truck. But with situations like I just explained, where you come over an unexpected hill and now, oh, you're in sand, it handled perfectly fine. So I don't know how it would handle in more serious sand conditions, but from what I've experienced and what I've done so far, blown away. Blown away compared to my old tires. Now let's go to mud. Now, I don't spend a lot of time in mud whatsoever. I mainly try to avoid it when it comes to like actual mud. If it's like wet desert, that's different than actual mud. But I did find myself in a muddy situation a few weeks ago when I was filming with Gian, and we were just exploring some random back trail right after it rained. And as we were coming toward the end, I found myself coming around a blind corner into a full stretch of mud, and I thought, well, I can't stop in this because I'm going to get stuck. So I just had to power through it. And before, kind of like with the sand, once you get into not a hard packed condition and something that kind of engulfs your tires, you feel the truck kind of try to force through it, like kind of pushing through it, trying to work its way through it. But with these, again, I felt like I was staying on top. I felt like it was just grabbing and throwing it out the back, just shoveling through it, keeping me on top, pulling and throwing it away, not forcing itself through it, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't feel the stress of trying to push through it. It just kind of felt like it was doing its work, going over it, going on it, pushing it out of the way. I don't know how else to describe it other than that, I guess. It's more of a feeling than something I can describe, I suppose. But yeah, that's the only experience I had with like mud, and it handled it fine. Now, with the bigger blocks and the more aggressive sidewalls, it's going to fling shit everywhere, but I'm fine flinging shit everywhere as long as I'm not getting stuck anywhere. Now, unfortunately, the thing I can't help you guys with is snow. I have not taken this to any sort of snow. I have not messed with the mountains with how much it's been snowing up there lately. Because one, I got no business in the mountains, and two, again, I'm two-wheel drive. I'm not going up there. Are you crazy? I'm not going up there. There's snow everywhere. Anyways, so yeah, that's the review for the performance. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, like I did in the first video, how just gorgeous these tires are. I mean, look at these sidewalls. Like, it's just an aggressive tread pattern on the side. The blocks, everything is just aggressive on the side, and I love that. And I'm sure I'll get clips after I film this part for you guys, but just the tread pattern itself too just looks so much sexier than an all-terrain, especially the KO2s. No offense to you, BFG. I love your guys' tires, but I'm just saying, this looks nice. So yeah, I really do think the switch between an all-terrain to an RT is a drastic change for what I thought was a $10 difference, with these being slightly more expensive. But I just wanted to double check and research the price for you guys before I film this, and I was wrong. It's a $7 difference with these being cheaper than the KO2s. So I was totally down to pay $10 more for this performance, but now that I'm finding out that it's $7 cheaper than an all-terrain KO2, dude, I'm going with these all day. No questions asked. There's a lot of people in there saying, oh, well, would you recommend these? Oh, how do you compare them to these? And like, guys, come on. Just pick yourself up a pair. What are you doing? Pick yourself up a pair, price compare to whatever it is you're thinking about getting, and see if you could justify the price for performance that I'm finding outstanding for something that's not a mud terrain, something that's a nice hybrid in between a mud terrain and an all-terrain, something you can daily, but something you could also rip off-road and feel confident in the abilities of it. At this point, I'm just ranting, guys. All I can say is, if you're in the market for new tires, these are definitely the ones you're going to want to pick up and try out if you're looking for an RT, or if you're just looking for something new and you want to switch from a mud terrain or an all-terrain, and you need somebody to give you that boost of confidence, and that's going to be me. So guys, I hope I covered a lot of the questions you may have. Again, I know I probably did not cover all of them, so if you have more questions, go down in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what you guys want answered, and I will try to answer them to the best of my abilities. And guys, that is my review on Toyo Tires Open Country Trail RTs. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream.